With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow, you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
With the Venmo debit...
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet. For a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast Gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast Gems.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks. Smooth, bright, deliciously crafted. Introducing Starbucks Sansera Blend, their smoothest, brightest coffee yet. It's a new kind of light roast, one that's packed with so much flavor, it shines no matter how you brew it. So go ahead and try it hot, iced, black, or with a splash of creamer. Visit athome.starbucks.com/Sansera-blend-coffee to bring Starbucks Sansera Blend home.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
welcome to Sephora.
I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey.
I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra, a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right, it almost feels wrong. Because right now, you can save big on their most popular models, including SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid, and the all-electric Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Visit HyundaiUSA.com. Offers end September 2nd, 2025.
Your earbud fell in a coffee cup. You need a taco pick-me-up.
When modern life gets rough, grab the timeless taste you love. Paso, the old El Paso.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
The card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. The card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Kendall Wallace, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Hawaii. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about building team cohesion. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's either bright and early or dark and early there in Hawaii because it's a morning here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, dark and early with my cup of coffee. Yep, that is correct.
Well, good. I really appreciate it. We've been prepping for this for a long time, and we finally have the chance to sit down and chat with each other. And
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
First, I just have to say the times I've been able to visit Hawaii have just been completely lovely. The last time my family was able to stay on the Ko'olina side for about a month while I was working at the University of Hawaii on the other side, and I would kind of commute back and forth, and it was just completely lovely. And we had such a great time. My family pretty much lived at the beach while I went into the university and worked.
I was going to say, I bet that was you must have had littles there because Ko'olina is great for no waves, like safe. Yeah,
it was great. Well, you have quite the background. I'll share that with the audience in just a minute. But being able to talk about your experiences and how they connect with team building, team cohesion, I think will be just really helpful to the audience. So as we get started, I'll share Kendall's bio with everybody. Kendall Wallace is a master at creating meaningful experiences that make you feel more alive, connected with yourself, with nature, and with one another. She creates movie-like magical moments, not on a screen, but in real life. After reading Eat, Pray, Love, she traveled the world by herself for 2 years. And for the past decade, she has thrown herself into personal growth. She went from waitressing to creating a thriving career in tech at Meta before abruptly it came to an end. Now she designs bucket list corporate offsites that not only create magical experiences, but also create safety and honesty in the workplace. Having helped over 1,000 people across 75 groups in improving communication, uncovering blind spots, minimizing recovery time between breakdowns, defining work-life balance, and making decisions more in alignment with what moves them in order to become highly effective communicators and happier people. In addition, she is an EFT practitioner and uses it in her coaching, helping people psychologically reprogram their subconsciousness. She now lives in North Shore, Oahu, having been inspired to improve her surfing skills and live her Blue Crush dreams. I love it. I love everything about that. Thank you so much again, Kendall, for joining me even in the wee hours of the morning. Before we launch on in, anything you would like to highlight about your background, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things you mentioned in my bio was, part of my story, honestly, where it says it abruptly came to an end, is the truth is how I got into building team cohesion. I mean, let's just be honest here, is because I was once fired for not being a good teammate. And it really thrusts me into understanding how people can become, like, quote unquote, the underperformers of a team. Also, the importance of kind of those dynamics within teams of creating overperformers and underperformers, which is interesting. And then, but most importantly, how in team decision making, ultimately, like when people are left out of decision making, then the power dynamics can shift. And so this really thrust me into a deep dive over the past few years of educating myself to no end by diving into so many different programs and and then ultimately leading offsite after offsite to really create team cohesion. So that's what, people say, some of your greatest gifts can happen on the other side of like something that, really hurt you. And like, let's be real, in the day of layoffs and being let go, like those things can be personal. Not to mention when you get fired, like that's a personal experience. And I think that's one of the best things I can offer teams is actually an inside lens of knowing prevention now to prevent some of those things from taking place, and ultimately creating better team dynamics within teams.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you first for sharing, being vulnerable and sharing, your own experience. We've probably all been there. We've all probably, had those times where we've been less than ideal teammates. We've all had,
You too,
I mean,
Jonathan?
we've all had frustrations in teams, and it's
Yeah.
really easy to point the finger and say this team stinks and it's because of that other person, but it's often because of us too. If we have a chance, maybe I'll share an example, a personal example of that later on. But, I just remember having a stark realization of that years ago, being called out on it by a facilitator at one of these offsites, and kind of blowing my mind. I'm like, oh, I just it totally was a foreign idea to me. But it was transformative. It was really important.
Yeah.
And so the reality is, I think most people are trying their best. Like most people that are showing up trying to be doing a good job and trying to be good team members, and not necessarily realizing often little things that they do that undermine team success,
100%.
team cohesion. And that's really my first question is like, what do you think, whether it's organizational systems or if it's just, the things that leaders do that set up, like the common mistakes that set up teams for failure and lack of team cohesion?
Number one thing I've learned is really not creating opportunities for team discussion on how the teams can improve their working dynamic or the way in which they work. So number one thing is that I do when I come in with a team is run debriefs. So you'll have a team meeting and then we have a debrief afterwards of, okay, what was everybody's level of satisfaction from that meeting? Because then it brings to the surface these opportunities for like people to just be real on a scale of 1 to 100. And then we'll dive in a little deeper on what that means. But really getting the opportunity to bring those things that normally are suppressed to the surface, but where everybody gets to participate is hugely important. So I think number one, it's having the consistent opportunities for communicating around how we're working and what's not working, but as a team, not these one-off conversations, like as a team, because it's a team system, really. The other thing I see a lot of leaders make in error is getting in the middle of a conflict and actually getting inside the triangle instead of remaining on the outside position of the triangle. They'll get on the inside and then somebody inevitably becomes on the outside. That's the way these things work. So I've, in the past few years, become really studied Murray Bowen. There was a Harvard Business Review article published a few years ago called Ghosts in the Executive Suite, talking about how important it is to understand, the family dynamics that people grew up with, because ultimately that is influencing how they operate in the team dynamics in the workplace. And I see it again and again, and it's, people, there's that concept of triangles that Murray Bowen really brought to light, that, is in the field of psychology, but it really, really translates to organizations and systems.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I think managers often get in the way, well-intentioned efforts, but they often get in the way because just like with kids, with my kids, as a parent, if I step in every last time there's any sort of little skirmish or conflict between my children, they never learn how to resolve anything. They never learn, those skills. And there's definitely times I need to step in, right? I can't let them, be horrible to each other, and I can't let them, be like physically hurting each other and be emotionally abusive to each other and those types of things, right?
Yeah.
Like there's certainly lines, but
Sure.
well, if I were to like step in every single time there's any little thing, then I'm like stunting their growth, right?
Yeah.
And I think some leaders wanting to kind of be like the hero who steps in and saves their team or comes to the rescue to resolve every single last little issue inadvertently, regardless of good intention, they end up stunting the growth and the relationships of their people.
100%. Yeah. And since you brought up the kid analogy, I'll use it. Think about like two siblings at the dinner table picking at each other, right? Two little kids, right? You could have a parent who, basically separates them, right? And it just keeps them separated. Or they really need to learn though how at the dinner table to comport themselves. Otherwise, if you keep them separated forever, that's gonna make like things a little awkward down the road, So it's you bring them together and basically just have them, and teach them the way that they need to treat each other by embodying it yourself. That's, I think, the other big issue that I see with leaders is not embodying that which they seek in others.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, it's like, take the this is the feedback. Okay, cool. But really ask for the feedback first and then accept it in a way that does not have like defensive energy, really. If you want your reports to be able to receive the feedback and not be defensive, it's really being so willing to receive it yourself and being so just really, it's a practiced skill of just being able to accept it in a way that doesn't have this defensive energy.
Yeah. So you highlighted a couple areas, that are just super common mistakes. Again, I'm going to assume best of intentions. And we know there aren't always good intentions. Sometimes people are jerks and sometimes, sometimes people have agendas and, so I acknowledge that, but we can't always control that. So I'm just going to assume good intentions because I do think most of the time people do have good intentions and people are doing the best they know how.
I agree.
And so let's assume that. And if we're moving forward with that assumption, then that gives us some power over how we respond and how we interact within that dynamic. And you gave us some good understanding around, some of those types of things that typically can short circuit it and break it down. If we're aware of that, then we can counteract that. We can try to make sure that those things aren't happening, whether it's us causing it or we see it in other team members and we can kind of step in to facilitate conversation and stop that from happening or whatever the case may be. You mentioned the facilitation piece, and maybe that brings up, it's a good time for me to share this offsite example that I had. So years ago, this was over 2 decades ago. I was starting my master's program, and it was one of these programs where it was cohort based. I was going to be working in teams in pretty much every class. And so they put us in teams and I was going to be working with the same team in every class for 2 years, on projects. And so they wanted us to bond and to be able to get to know each other and figure out how to work together. And so we did this offsite like ropes course and all this stuff like the week before the first semester started of our first year. And I'd done these types of things before, and so they're kind of fun, and we got there and started going through everything, and we're all having a good time. And I'm a good student, and I'm a hard worker, and I'm always thinking, yeah, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait for this program. But I think back to my undergrad days, and I think to all of those team projects that I did as a student that were crummy. And a lot of students don't like team projects. They're kind of, they stink. And a lot of times people are like, people aren't pulling their weight. People aren't, doing what they're supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. All the common concerns, right? And so in the back of my mind, that's what I have going on. I'm like, oh, I hope I don't get saddled with some crappy team for 2 years and I have to like pull them along, drag them along with me and like do way more than my share. And that's what I'm thinking in the back of my head. But we go through the day and it seems like they're all great and I'm gonna have a great team and everything. And we're going from activity to activity. At some point it starts raining. And so we're not able to do at that point, we're not able to do some of the higher ropey type things like some of the stuff where we're strapped in and whatever.
Sure.
So we're just doing some lower stuff. And at one point we're doing this thing where it's like I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it's like a V. So there's a tree and then there's a V and there's stakes. I don't know if you can visualize that or if you've ever done this. But so two people get up and then they lean in and put their hands together and then they try to step out. And the further they walk out, the further they lean in because the V goes out. And so their feet go farther out and they're leaning farther and further in. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yep.
And so the first pair for my team gets up and they lean in and they start to take a couple steps out and they fall. And the whole point of this is to communicate and to rely on each other and to balance and you lean and you try to get as far as you can down this V. They get a couple steps, they fall. They get another chance, they maybe get one more step, they fall. And the whole time I'm watching this and I'm like, attuned to what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, I can see what they're doing wrong. And the next pair gets up and they do the same thing. They maybe get one step further. And the whole time in my head, I'm thinking, oh, that, I can see what they're doing wrong. I'm going to be able to do this better. And I'm competitive. And so the whole time I'm just thinking, oh, I'm going to impress them with how good I am. And I'm going to get like super far. And then it's my turn and I get up with my partner and we get up there. And as soon as we get up there, we start to lean. And I'm like, this guy wasn't even paying attention. I'm like frustrated. I'm like, what was he doing? He wasn't even paying attention to these guys. And so he's not like leaning. He's not like doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's clearly not taking it seriously like I am. And we like take it one step and we fall, like literally one step. And I'm like, oh, but I'm trying to be diplomatic and I don't let it show on my face, but inside I'm just like super annoyed at this guy. And we get back up, we get a second try.
You do
and this time
another chance.
We get another chance and we get back up and we start to lean again and he's still not kind of doing it. So I'm trying to like counteract what he's doing and I'm trying to make up for it. And again, we take like one step and we fall. And I'm frustrated, but whatever. And the activity's over and we all sit down and the facilitator sits us down and we do a debrief. So you mentioned the debrief and how important that is.
Critical, super critical.
Absolutely critical. If we had not have done that debrief, I would have just walked away being annoyed and 100%. I would not have learned anything. But we go to that debrief and he just kind of looks at me and he, he's like, okay, so what did we learn? And people say some things and they're all kind of the typical types of things you would say about how we need to rely on each other and trust each other and we need to communicate and blah, 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 all the typical things, right? And then he kind of looks at me and he says, so what was wrong with that pair? Why couldn't they do it? Like, why couldn't they even go one step? And the whole time I'm thinking, well, I know exactly why. It's because my partner wasn't paying attention. He had no idea what to do and he wasn't doing what he needed to. So that's what I'm thinking.
Immediately scapegoating. Yep.
Immediately, right? But I didn't say anything and I'm just waiting and
see that so just real quick, but isn't it interesting how in this scenario, right, you're still part of the system, still, right, you're not saying anything, you're not a vocal member, right, but there's still a lot happening, right?
Tons in my head.
It's just so interesting how people think, oh, I'm not going to say anything, like that's the safe place. No, you're still like very deep in it. That is your role.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, but go ahead.
Absolutely. And I have all this narrative going on in my head, right? Anyway, so he finally points at me and he's like, it's John's fault. And I'm just like taken back and I'm like, what? I'm like literally dumbfounded by it. Yeah. And he's just telling it straight. And he's like, wow. John did not trust his team member. John was overcompensating for what he thought his team member wasn't doing. And because of that, John threw off the balance And he just kept on, explaining everything that needed to happen and everything that couldn't happen because of how I was responding.
Yeah.
And then he applied that to like other team types of scenarios,
100%.
and how I approached it might potentially short circuit other team environments, other team
100%.
other
Yeah.
team types of situations.
These are
And
microscopes, These are
yeah,
microscopes for life situations,
and
of course. Go ahead.
all of a sudden, I'm like having flashbacks to all of those team experiences with team projects and classes as an undergrad. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking all those times that I thought I had crappy teams, and I thought it's because I had all these freeloading classmates who didn't do their
Yeah.
part, and they were all like crummy, and I was so annoyed with them. And now
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, was I the asshole?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
was I the one like who was like
Yeah.
completely throwing everything off?
Yeah.
My intentions were good. I was a hard worker. I wanted to do
Right.
well. I wanted to involve them. Like my intentions were always good. But
Yeah.
for the first time, I realized I screwed up. Like, and I screwed up
Mm-hmm.
big time for
Mm-hmm.
years,
Mm-hmm.
and that one activity was so transformative,
Mm-hmm.
to me, and being able to like completely change my perspective on how I interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
Just coming back to what you said about like having those opportunities for those types of activities, debriefs,
Yeah.
conversations, reflection, like all of
Yeah.
that matters so much. And I'm so grateful for that because
Yeah.
that completely shifted like the next 2 decades of how I interact with people.
Right, right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. It's incredible. It's also very intuitive. Like, why would you not have a debrief, right? After and there's plenty of activities. There's activities I facilitate that are outside that whether it's a scavenger hunt with specific clues with certain teams that mimic the makeup of the organization, or
Mhm.
I do it, other different games, but like the debrief is critical. Like I think back honestly to when I was at a company where I was scapegoated, and like the one thing we never did was we never like we did escape rooms,
Mm.
cool, and then we went to lunch. Like we like that was our team bonding, but there were never ever any investments made or any conversations about influencing how we work together. And I think it was such a missing. And now that I
Yeah.
do that with teams, like it's so critical to have those moments of aha and being able to then like bring to the surface. I think about too, there was a team I was yeah, really I was a part of actually not too long ago with an exercise with other executive coaches, and it was really interesting because you could tell there was one person who was just used to being literally the leader of every single team. And we're a group of leaders, but she was just so used to being the leader. And it was so interesting because for all of us, the tonality of kind of the it's my way or the highway
Mhm.
really started to grind our gears throughout the meeting. But thank God we had a debrief at the end of it where we could bring that up, and or even I think we even addressed partially in the meeting. But then at the end, it was a real moment of feedback, but also done vulnerably. And it's feedback is vulnerable when it's done with from the heart for the benefit of the other. And I remember saying, in really straightforward, I said, listen, you have the capability to be an extraordinary leader, but your tonality is making me want to not do anything you say.
Mm.
It had to be that blunt. It's like it is really going against your leadership. And that was just such a beautiful moment because it also then we left that where she really benefited. And my goodness, the next meetings, the next week, it was all so much better. And it comes down to, all of this comes down to a certain set of behaviors. It's like, what does the video camera see when it attends a meeting or whatever? It boils down people being perceived as dominating or or know-it-alls or whatever, or just assholes, it boils down to a certain set of behaviors and what behaviors need to be addressed.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I think that I was that same guy, right? Like as the person you were just describing. And you need that blunt feedback. You need that blunt feedback.
Totally. And people brave enough to share it, and the safety to not like have any retribution if we're sharing it, that it's not going to come back and bite them in the ass.
And I bet she was so appreciative of it.
So appreciative.
At least a secure person, like a mature, 100%. Secure person will be so 100%. Appreciative of getting that feedback.
100%. Yeah.
Well, this has just been such a great conversation, Kendall. I note the time. I'm going to need to let you go.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah. So the company is Executive Offsites. And so you can reach me on Instagram. It's Kendall Wallace 123, 2 L's in my first and last name. And or on LinkedIn as well, Kendall Wallace with an Executive Offsites. The big thing I can offer to your listeners is if they're looking for some tools or exercises or ways of thinking about constructing either offsites or days or even debriefs of meetings to try and create connection, I actually have a playbook that I give out for free that I'd happily give your listeners. So just feel free to DM me. You can DM me playbook plus Westover, and I'll send it over to any listeners who would like it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kendall. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Kendall can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.